Sometimes you get those weeks where you and your brain feel like you're not playing on the same team, maybe not even on the same field. You might not even be playing the same sport as your brain. And when that happens, for me, I tend to feel like I just want to relive those failures over and over, just things from the past popping in my head when I'm laying down to go to sleep at night, and I think of the perfect way to end a conversation that I was having in 8th grade a bunch of years ago. And you know, it's cringe, but it keeps replaying over and over in my mind. So I thought, let's turn a negative into a positive and just talk about how to work through failure. Conan was recently on Hot Ones, the show with hot questions and even hotter wings, and he said this.
The worst thing a guest can do is tell the audience it's not going well. I've seen it happen many times. It's an amateur move because the host can do a lot to let people think it's going great, even if it's not. There are many things the host can do. The host can be enjoying. The host can act a little bit. The host can do things. Audiences want to see a good show. They want to see a good interview. And I was always amazed when someone would come out and they'd be doing okay, and they'd make a couple of jokes, and it's fine. And then they would just go, and they would look right out to camera, and they would say, this just isn't going very well, is it? And you could feel, I would look out at the audience, maybe 200 people sitting there, and I'd see 200 souls leave 200 bodies and float up through the ceiling. Because they were just told they were not getting a good show.
Right.
No, that's not show business. Show business is you're getting the greatest show in the world.
Now that's great advice for any performer, and you should listen to it. It's coming from Conan, one of the greatest performers of our generation. But I'm not any performer. I'm a magician, so I specifically want to talk about failure as a magician and how we can overcome and get through it. A very common concern for magicians is what happens if I screw up the trick. But asking this actually kind of outs you as an amateur, or at least as somebody who hasn't done a lot of shows, maybe just unexperienced. Because any magician who's done at least one show knows exactly what happens if you screw up a trick. And in my mind, there are 3 different levels of screwing up and failing. So let's start with level 1. Level 1 is just what I call stepping off the path. Now you might be surprised what I think is actually a minor mishap. What happens if I lose my pinky break and thus lose the card? What happens if I reveal the wrong card? What happens if my thumb tip falls off, if the hidden flap falls open, if they see something they shouldn't, if the rope falls to my floor, if the hidden prop in my pocket falls out? What happens if so many of these little things happen? Like I said, you might be surprised that I think these are little things, but they are. That's not anything you can't recover from. The majority of anxious concerns, in my opinion, as somebody who's done a few shows in their time, are not such a big deal. These are not failures. They are tiny little minor inconveniences. It feels like a big deal to you because you're the one who notices that they happen. But think about it from the audience perspective. Not everybody saw it happen. The more people in the crowd, the less that noticed it, I promise you. If they did see it, they assume it's part of the act. Remember, we are the train conductor. We know where the show is going. They don't know where the show is going. So anything they see, you can make it part of the act. Magicians, you know this. It's misdirection 101, where you look, the audience looks. What you care about, the audience will care about. If it's important to you, it's important to them. If it's not important to you, it's not important to them. If you take this attitude and apply it to your show, it's your choice what's a mess up and what isn't. Let's take a look at some of those examples from earlier. You revealed the wrong card. Oh no, it's the 3 of diamonds when it should have been, I don't know, the king of hearts. So you take the 3 of diamonds, you say, oh no, that's wrong. Oh no, my trick failed. Or you reframe it. The 3 of diamonds is your card? No, it's not. Oh, this must not be a full deck. Oh, you know what? I actually, in my pocket, I have your card. What was it? The king of diamonds? Yes, that's absolutely correct. I think I said hearts before, but you get the idea. It's the way you frame it. You could say, oh no, I failed. Or you could go on, keep going on the path, barrel right through it. Unlike level 1, a level 2 mistake is something that cannot be fixed in 10 seconds of quick thinking. Level 2 is like, what if a prop breaks? What if you forgot to set something up? What if you actually realized in the moment that you forgot how to do the trick? These are some level 2 things that require a little bit more to get through than just the level 1 minor inconveniences. 3 options you can do here. First one, you can get upset, you can cry about it, you can look distressed, you can have a frown on your face, you're upset, the audience is upset at you for being upset. They're not upset that the trick didn't work, they're upset about how you reacted to it. You got 2 people, you got 200 people, you got 2,000 people. Like Conan said earlier, this is the moment that those souls leave those bodies because they have just been told that they're not having the best experience. They don't know before you tell them. If there's one thing you can do to ruin a show, it's blame the audience for the mistake. You don't want to do that. The second thing, but in my opinion not the best thing to do, but it will work, is kind of just push through the situation tentatively. This is like a performer who, if something doesn't go right, they might deal with it, but they're still thinking about the best case scenario, and that ship has sailed. You know, we can't do the best case scenario anymore. Think about that later, journal about it in your post-show review, which you should be doing. But in the moment, you kind of just got to go with the third option, in my opinion, which is just to smile through it, right? If you can smile through it, you become a hero to the audience. This is the performer that the audience wants to see. If something goes wrong, and everyone can kind of tell it goes wrong because, you know, it's how we deal with it, we get off the beaten path, but when you deal with it, and you smile through it, and you make jokes about it, and you laugh about it, that is the person they want to see. I was at a performance of Sweeney Todd the Musical, and one of the performers' microphones stopped working at a very, very dramatic part, and the tech in the booth behind actually called stop to the whole show. They asked if the actor playing Sweeney Todd could get off of the stage, and it was about 2 minutes. It felt like forever, but the other actors on the stage could have done nothing, but one of them decided to do some hilarious improv because in the scene they were drinking a beer. They started looking through the glass because they were drunk and they saw the audience. And this is somebody we love to root for them. We gave a standing ovation for that improv for a mistake. A mistake got a standing ovation. So you can either be defeated or you can power through it, or you can embrace it. The third type of failure, you've gotten so far off the path, you've actually fallen off the cliff. This is the catastrophe moment. In the magic world, something happens that prevents you from actually doing the routine. You cannot complete it, you can't push forward, either dejected or with a smile. You just have to stop, you can't do it. And this is when you have to ask yourself the question, what's the worst that can really happen? If you're doing a magic show, odds are you probably aren't being buried alive, doing a David Blaine-esque stunt. You're not submerging yourself in a Houdini water escape. You're not hanging upside down in a straitjacket. You're doing a magic trick. You're doing a card trick. You know, we've all been there. Sometimes things go wrong. The deck is in a specific order and you drop the deck of cards. You can't recover from that. You can't continue with that trick. Sometimes things happen. So the actual worst thing that can happen in a magic show is nothing. It's quite that, literally nothing. No magic happens, no trick happens. You walk out onto the stage, silence, no laughter, no applause, just nothing happens. This is the moment where, and it's really hard to do, even for me, and I've done this for a long time, you have to separate yourself as a person from the performance. You are not the performance. You are a complex person who experiences a complex amount of emotions and who is experiencing a single one-time event that is happening right now. If you've got another show tomorrow, if you had a show last weekend that went great, live in those. This show is one time. Figure out why it happened so it doesn't happen again, but this is one time. It's one mistake. That's it. But I think that's what makes a seasoned performer such a good performer, is because their ability to take a mess up and laugh at themselves and turn it into something fun is so much better than living in the moment with a frown. That doesn't feel good for anybody, doesn't feel good for you, doesn't feel good for the audience. So there you are, right? Standing on the stage, you've bombed, the world is falling down around you, it's falling apart, everything's on fire. What do you do in this moment? Well, for me, it comes right back to attitude. You gotta embrace it with a smile. At least then, the audience is still having a good time. You might be dying inside, but the audience is having a good time. Hey folks, it appears I can't complete this routine. Something happened, and let's just move on with the show. I know some performers who have a routine that's not in their show, it's just a solid routine that they bring out in case of emergency. So just go to that routine. Maybe start preparing a backup. You know, just do something so we can move on past the mistake. Don't live in it. The worst thing you can do is live in it, right? And hey, the show goes on. Hope you enjoyed that little talk about failure. If you liked the video, please subscribe. I've got some more stuff coming for you. Bye.